Anyways, desperate couples turns abuse into entertainment. Like, what's going on? I'm gonna pre-like the video because I already know I'm gonna like it. All right. Yeah, this video is only like 30 minutes long, and then we can lock into Expedition. So
live streaming has reached a new level of dystopian nightmare. Here we have streamer Amaranth and her husband Nick Lee, who recently went on a nearly 24-hour-long live stream in the middle of an explosive and violent argument, where psychological manipulation is on full display. Threats are made, and the cops are called. And as if that's not crazy enough, tens of thousands of people were watching the arguments in real time and donating money so they can voice their opinion to the couple.
Did they have TTS on during the argument? That is the most toxic shit ever, to have TTS on during like an actual argument. I mean, hey, but they're making money though. But at the end of the day, yeah, they're profiting big off of like their like relationship issues. That's insane.
Fucking you're dangerous for society. Someone to lie about her senseless, and so I deserve to have.
Oh my god.
$1. You see, I'm a fat overfed with
And yet, even with how explosive this argument was, it wasn't the first time
you can't even hear the
TTS. That Amaranth might be married to an abusive partner. Then again, when you learn the entire story, your perspective might change, because the deeper you go into this situation, the more unclear it becomes who's really in control. Over the years,
low-key, I remember when the first thing happened like 2 years ago with the whole Amaranth thing. Why does the crying sound fake? It might be. We don't know. Oh my god, we don't know. It could possibly well be, because like I remember like a year or two ago it got exposed like, oh, Amaranth's husband's like abusive, and like she was talking about her relationship with her husband, and honestly I thought that like they were separated and they were good because I haven't heard anything about it for the longest time. But I guess like now she's making content with them. Like I don't understand what's going on. But Patrick CC's
has slowly lost trust with her millions of followers, and there are some extremely suspicious circumstances that must be considered. Caitlin Siragusa is most definitely a pioneer when it comes to live streaming. In the mid-2010s, she joined Twitch before it was the entertainment powerhouse it is today. At first, she was mostly just doing what other streamer girls did at the time, cosplaying while playing various video games in an effort to build a consistent audience. But she quickly realized how much she could capitalize on her looks after viral
okay, this is like, okay, this wig is crazy, but like this cosplay isn't bad. Oh my god.
Dressed up as Black Widow at a convention. And along with creators like XO Ariel, Caitlin became one of the first Twitch streamers to live stream in revealing outfits while sitting in a hot tub or a small inflatable pool indoors. And the hot tub stream or hot tub meta was really where Caitlin, now Amaranth, began building a strong following. Suddenly, thousands of fans would try to get her attention in the chat every day, and it looked like she was enjoying every second of it.
Go follow my socials though if you guys haven't already. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat.
This is like peak COVID, I think, with the hot tub meta.
Not everybody approved of her methods to achieve fame. Hot tub streams on Twitch became controversial because they blurred the line between gaming content and suggestive performances. Twitch was initially seen as a place where gamers and creators share their appreciation for their passions, but many viewers and critics argued that the women doing these streams weren't building anything meaningful, and that they were simply exploiting the platform's rules to attract donations through revealing outfits and flirtatious behavior. It sparked a debate over whether Twitch was becoming less about content and more about monetizing attention through sexuality. It was especially controversial because so much of Twitch was and still is visited by children. 12-year-olds were visiting the website to watch Ninja, only to get distracted by a woman in a string bikini.
At this point, nobody was going to Twitch to watch Ninja, okay? Nobody was doing that, but I understand what he's saying. I feel like now, like, this isn't, like, necessarily a huge problem on Twitch, at least in, like, this extreme way, I guess, because they have more rules on it, but, like, Twitch is still crazily filled with like obvious like OnlyFans models like overly sexualizing themselves like on other people's streams. Oh, that's kind of crazy. But like I don't know if there's necessarily a way to stop that though. It's just fucked.
riding an inflatable banana. Even people who were not necessarily against this content just felt like it was a little out of place on Twitch. In an interview with Forbes magazine,
Real.
Amaranth described how she and the other girls tried to get around the backlash by getting Twitch to make hot tub streams their own subcategory. This way you couldn't really argue that Twitch users were being blindsided by finding a bikini streamer in the just chatting or gaming category. Now, anyone who was watching a hot tub streamer navigated to that section and actively chose to watch. But after this type of content was normalized and the controversy blew over, competition ramped up. Suddenly, thousands of women were streaming this same type of content, and Caitlyn had to do stranger and stranger things to catch people's attention.
Because before we were like in the main category of just chatting, so we got like a lot of eyeballs. There's a lot of people.
Damn, she was on Forbes for
Big
this.
debate online whether this should be allowed or not.
Gaming in the hot tub or just like streaming?
Yeah, I would game in the hot tub. I would work out in the hot tub. I would talk to people in the hot tub. I would have like podcasts in the hot tub. I would sometimes I would eat in the hot tub. I would dress up and do cosplays in the hot tub. I thought about sleeping in the hot tub, but my manager told me that was against the rules. I might drown and die, you know, casual. But yeah, lots of things.
And as silly as Amaranth's strategy sounds, it was insanely profitable. By 2021, Caitlyn was a multi-millionaire. She had become Twitch's most viewed female streamer, reaching about a minimum of 2 million watch hours every month. Then to make even more money, she started posting content on OF. But Amaranth liked to think of herself as no different than the typical entrepreneur. Her secret to building a massive following is hard work.
I don't think there is a secret. I think it's unfortunately just hard work and putting yourself on every platform.
Suddenly, P-stars streaming on Twitch means they are gamers. If I'm a janitor on a football stadium, does that mean I'm a pro athlete too? When asked about the critics of the hot tub meta, Amaranth said, I don't think it's particularly unique or new. Just people decided to hyper-focus on it now due to a few girls having outsized success. People keep succumbing to recency bias as if this recent development has forever tarnished the Twitch brand, or as if at some point in the distant future it's going to be just all hot tub streamers. And this has been Amaranth's public stance since the beginning, that she is a self-starter who managed to succeed on a male-dominated platform, despite the man trying to keep her down. Although there was a part of the story Amaranth would reveal that shocked the internet, that she was in an extremely toxic and potentially violent relationship with her husband, Nick Lee, and that he was allegedly forcing her to do these live streams for his financial gain. But
I feel like before he even says it, what I always felt like that happened here, especially of how she carried herself after I don't know if like he was necessarily out of her life, or like after just the dust settled from all that like shit that happened with their relationship and the public. I think that they were married and he wanted her money. I don't think that it was more like he was forcing her to do this type thing. I just think that she was doing it on her own and he just wanted the money. But like for some reason she just wanted to paint herself as like a super victim. That's my guess. But let's see. Let's see what happens.
By 2022, Amaranth was flaunting her success like an artist who signed a massive record deal. She was investing in crypto, product lines, and she was particularly proud to purchase a series of gas stations, even going as far to share that she spent $4 million on the first one, outlining what she was projected to make every month. It looked like business as usual. Amaranth was bringing in serious cash and trolling online critics with keyboard warrior memes. But on a seemingly random live stream in October of 2022, Amaranth broadcasted herself answering an extremely disturbing phone call with her husband Nick, where she asks him why he threatened to kill her dogs.
Why did you say you were going to kill my dogs?
Leave the house.
Okay, I can leave the... You know what? Actually, I shouldn't leave the house because my dogs are here.
We'll take the dogs and leave. You're asking the question, I'm telling you, and you're interrupting my... telling you. Literally.
This is like completely off topic, but I really like this Strictly Puff in the background. You got a little side duck too.
What are you saying? You just told me you were gonna kill dogs so I didn't do a 24-hour stream.
Nope, did not say that. Now you're just being a liar.
I'm not
I said I'm going to
It's kind of
tell
awkward.
you what I said in terms of the earlier. You're saying you did not say that.
I tried to tell you what I heard from you.
And throughout the rest of the stream, Amaranth kept dropping one bombshell after another, telling her viewers that Nick had put her in a fancy prison. She then went on to explain that even with therapy, nothing was helping the emotional abuse, and that the hot tub streams that catapulted her into the limelight were his idea. According to Amaranth, she was a reserved girl who had no interest in doing any of it. Nick was just allegedly selling her body for his own gain.
And then he was changed for a bit, and then the hot tub meta arose, and he was like, oh, this is an opportunity. And then he turned into an again when I agreed to commit to the grind because it was a good financial opportunity for us. I've been wanting to tell people that, like, let's just stream together. Just tell them that we're married, because it's like our relationship would be better if we just stream them, and it's fighting all the time. But no, Mr. Don't say that because it's going to ruin the business model. It's not time yet.
But what stood out to most fans was Amaranth's claim that she had zero control over her finances, and that Nick was threatening to leave her with, quote, only $1 million if she didn't comply with everything he wanted.
Yeah, I'm going to leave you with $1 million, and I'm going to take the rest because I worked harder than you. It's like, and if you don't agree, then I'm going to burn it all in court. I'm going to put it all in crypto. Blah. Just always threats. All the accounts are like two-factor under his number, and he has all the login information of things, you know. It's like keeps you there with the fear and the threats, and you fear that he's gonna do something to your animals. And then he's nice again and says everything's gonna be okay.
I feel bad for her, but the wording only $1 million is insane. You can live very comfortably with that kind of money.
But she made a
less
lot
than what
more.
she deserves.
She made a lot more than $1 million.
How much is in relation to what he has taken from her. The amount of in here weirdly focusing on the $1 million bit is whack. While some people felt the wording of Amaranth's confession felt a bit out of touch, others were quick to jump to her defense. People suffering from trauma shouldn't necessarily be fully responsible for what they say in the moment. But from here, it was a constant downward spiral. Amaranth showed texts from her husband calling her a dumb F, as well as other threats he made to her on a daily basis. In this feed, you can see him threatening that he will spend massive amounts of her money if she doesn't pick up the phone, showing undisputable evidence of financial abuse. And because Amaranth was one of the most popular streamers for 2 straight years, the biggest creators on the internet were quick to publicly show her support. Even Moist Critical made a long rant roasting Amaranth's husband as best as he possibly could.
And this troglodyte sounds like an absolutely unhinged maniac. I watched the entire VOD to get the full context surrounding this entire situation, and I can say with a high level of confidence that this is an actual abusive lunatic.
And Charlie went on to say what most of Amaranth's critics were thinking. She may have participated in an industry that people found immoral, but abuse is abuse, and it needs to be called out. Critical also referenced another stream where she was visibly exhausted, struggling to form a coherent sentence, only for her assistant to ask about where her meds were, and then she abruptly went offline.
I haven't gotten any calls. What are you talking about? Why would you ask if I'm taking...
Oh.
This is a scene right out of a horror movie. The doors slowly opening up behind her, someone off camera asking if she's taken her medication. I believe it's her assistant. But even Amaranth is confused. Like, why are you asking about the medication? You know, like that's irrelevant to everything. So the assistant knew what was going on here.
Okay, I keep on hitting my mic. Hold on, I need to move it out the way.
Taking medication, I guess implying that, you know, maybe she's having like some kind of mental breakdown.
Is really hard to listen to. This is like next level abuse. In the following months, this seemed like the only thing streamers could talk about. It was the first time in internet history that a streamer as big as Amaranth shared a live video of the behavior surrounding domestic violence. They say she shouldn't air this publicly, but we all know that if she made an accusation of abuse, the first thing they'd demand is evidence. After this explosive moment, Amaranth released a video sharing that she had separated from Nick. She looked healthier, wore a large comfortable sweater, and quoted a line from Dobby the elf in the Harry Potter series, who escaped slavery by being gifted new clothes.
What the fuck?
And I don't have to wear cleavage every day. I can wear clothes. Master has given Dobby a sock. Dobby is free.
She even voiced her concerns about the inevitable changes she would have to make
reacting
to her image moving forward.
I just hope that people still watch without so much Joey, I still can't believe just how many people gave it. Because for most of the years online, it felt like everyone was against me. For like the type of content that I didn't even want to stream.
And initially, there was unanimous support for her escape. This was a rare moment where an alleged victim of what was essentially online trafficking was free to return to a normal life. However, the drama surrounding this freed victim was far from over. Whether it was the result of old habits or not making enough money, Amaranth returned to stream the same exact way as before. And this would cause supporters and even longtime fans to turn on her in a matter of weeks. For almost a month following Amaranth's split from her husband, she basically vanished from Twitch, Instagram, and the rest of her personal accounts. And this seemed totally reasonable. Anyone who faced this kind of pressure is bound to be in need of a break, if not quitting altogether. She had the assets, she had the money. If everything she was saying was the truth, there wasn't any reason for her to continue. However, when Amaranth came back to streaming, it was almost like nothing had ever happened. Instead of the big sweatshirt and baggy clothes, she actually doubled down on what she was doing before. She even went as far as wearing nothing at all except a censor bar crudely taped to her chest. Almost immediately, these odd decisions started to set people off. Literally weeks ago, the entire internet witnessed this tragic story about a girl in a toxic relationship.
This is why I'm just like,
I think that so desperate to hold her life together that she was willing to do anything for her abusive partner. A woman who claimed that she was forced against her will to do these streams, and now she is back doing it again? Is her husband back in control? Was it all a marketing stunt? YouTubers and streamers who just vocalized their support for her felt like they might have been fooled.
She didn't want to stream on Twitch with absolutely no clothes. She didn't want to do an OnlyFans because Amaranth is actually a very good and wholesome girl with very good values and morals. And the only reason she was doing any of this was because she was forced to by her evil ex-husband, okay? Now, believe it or not, the absolute entire internet completely fell for this and believed her.
People started wondering if she even had a husband or a boyfriend, if this tragic story was even real, or if she just revealed herself to be another farmer for online clout. To make matters worse, Amaranth's habit of flaunting her wealth was about to backfire hard.
Oh yeah, I remember she got robbed.
She unknowingly inspired thieves to break into her home, slowly exposing that her personal life was still an absolute disaster. By 2024, Amaranth had been dethroned as the top female streamer, but even though she wasn't number one, she was still pulling in
dethroned
as the top female.
Wait, who was lucrative? Oh, I don't know who dethroned her.
But even though she wasn't number one,
Emaru?
she was still pulling in some serious money from donations and sponsorships from the streaming platform Kick. Aside from her investments in local businesses like the gas stations, a pool toy company, and manufacturing facilities for inflatable balls, Amaranth also decided to proudly post her crypto assets for everyone to see, about $20 million in Bitcoin and $80,000 in Ethereum. And given her past career choices moving forward, she was catching her fair share of hate every time she bragged. I imagine most of that was probably gifted to her too. We'll never forget the dumb simps for making these rich. And while people often say no publicity is bad publicity, Amaranth's behavior proved that this isn't always true. When 4 local teenagers saw how much money she had in her accounts, they planned a heist that would end up being a countrywide news story. According to police records, 4 boys aged 16 to 19 made a plan to enter Amaranth's house at night to catch her off guard, but they didn't realize how difficult this home invasion would be. See, most of Amaranth's property was walled off with barbed wire. On top of that, it was essentially a compound, decked out with security cameras, motion sensor floodlights, and basically anything else a civilian could own to make their home as secure as possible. And the teenagers' method for breaking into the house seemed like they had watched too many movies, with one of their friends posted up in the getaway car and the other 3 setting off all the lights trying to find a way inside. When they realized they couldn't scale the wall without getting cut by the barbed wire, they got even more impulsive, making the choice to just pull off loose pieces of the wood paneling until they were able to sneak sneak through the back, smashing through a sliding glass
crazy.
door. The sound of the shattering
And she's got a lot
glass
of
was
shit
so
in her
loud
house,
that
and
Amaranth
house felt
finally
like a
woke
garage
up
or
in a
something.
connecting building, and when she heard the sound, she was terrified. Almost immediately, she reached out to her husband, Nick Lee, who was still living on the property. Believing it might be just one of Amaranth's many pets, Nick initially tried to calm her down. It was at this point that fans realized she was still married to her alleged abusive husband, but thankful that he was there to protect her. While Nick was still on the phone listening to his partner freak out, the thieves were making their way through the rest of the property to find Amaranth and threaten her for the money. And when they got to her bedroom door, it was locked, and they seemingly started to regret their decision.
That is insane.
This is where you realize how naive they really are.
Having camera footage inside of them
When
being
that
dumb
didn't
as
work,
fuck.
they kicked down the door screaming for
funny.
Amaranth to give them the crypto.
One of them has the gun pointed at my head, and the other one is asking where the crypto is. And he can hear all this too.
Yeah, relationally, I don't know where the phone is, but like I can hear, this, yeah.
Amaranth obviously had crypto, but there wasn't any chance that she would have it somewhere in the house.
Yeah.
After all, it's not a physical currency.
Why would they try to rob her for crypto? Oh my god. This is so stupid.
It
sounds like something out of
there
Looney
was a cold
Tunes.
storage device stowed away for safekeeping, but there's no way they would have known that given how unprepared they were in the first place. Only complete idiots would try to rob someone in real life for cryptocurrency. Ignoring Amaranth's cries for help and her claims that she doesn't have physical crypto to give them, the robbers started striking her in the head with their pistols. Dazed and confused, Amaranth was out of options, and instead of claiming she didn't have anything to give them, she lied and said that she'd show them where it was, guiding them through the property while one of them continued to strike her and pull her hair. Ultimately, her plan was to guide the thieves to Nick, hoping that he would be armed by the time they arrived.
It's a night of sheer terror as a woman is brutally assaulted by 3 masked home invaders. She's internet personality Caitlin Saragusa, known to her millions of fans as Amaranth.
You know what? I didn't know too much about the
She
situation.
brings them across a
I
courtyard
didn't know it was
to
like
another building in
that
their
big.
compound
I just remember
where
hearing
there
about
is a
it.
surprise waiting for them. Caitlin's husband Nick is watching the drama unfold on security cameras. He was armed and ready at the top of the staircase.
After they entered the building, Nick shot in their direction, hitting one of them as they ran away. The thieves were caught and arrested in the following days. As you can imagine, this was a huge story. Large media companies didn't know anything about Amaranth like younger millennials and Gen Zs did. To the Gen X and Boomer crowd, this was one of those home defense stories of a successful power couple that worked together to save each other's lives.
I don't know what they're wanting from this. And I decided to just pretend that I know where crypto is.
She lives in Houston.
And so I decided to lead them over to my husband, who was still on the phone with me this whole time.
Yeah, she had on speakerphone, so I heard all of that. And it gave me just like a moment to kind of compose myself and then, decide what to do. And in that moment, the things that the cliches are true, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back to your level of training or whatever.
And while they were being celebrated on television, everyone else following it online had serious questions. They were surprised to finally see the face of Nick Lee, the alleged monster who forced Amaranth into selling herself online, calmly answering questions with a smile. They didn't understand why Amaranth and him were sitting side by side as if they were united, and they really didn't understand why the man who appeared to push this streamer over the edge was even in her house to begin with, let alone being paraded around as some kind of hero.
Hey.
Can you see it now?
Hey.
Hello.
What's up, Amaranth's husband? Nice to meet you.
Hi, how's it going?
You're a real warrior. You're a good husband, man. You were brave that night. Good.
This caused people to wonder if any of this had been real in the first place. The abuse, the crying, the phone calls, the text messages, and even this insane robbery were now being held under a microscope to see if this had all been completely staged. However, it does seem incredibly difficult to orchestrate a robbery like this, especially considering shots were fired and the robbers were caught. But whatever the case, Amaranth's viewers quickly discovered that Nick was here to stay, and after this traumatic night, their relationship would spiral spiral into a dark place. And for some odd reason, they decided to live stream an explosive domestic altercation for almost 24 hours straight.
Oh, you know
Although
why I
very
haven't
little was
heard too
known
much about
her
this?
husband,
Because it
Nick
happened on
Lee,
Kick.
It seemed like he was managing
I'm not on
most of
Kick
the
like at
business
all.
side for Amaranth's brand.
Or,
He wore
like, see
expensive
a lot of Kick
clothes,
stuff.
worked on her business ventures in a compound attached to their house, and even appeared to never leave her side, even though Amaranth claimed they had split up months before. Then, on May 11th, 2025, the couple surprised everyone when they started streaming together. Out of frame, Nick Lee appeared audibly enraged, accusing Caitlyn of performing acts with Aaron Pogson, a leading producer of the Red Pill podcast Fresh and Fit.
Can we talk about you kissing black men while we're married?
That is not even true.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Oh, we don't want to talk about that.
We can talk about that, sure.
Okay, let's talk about it.
You
This
had
is
me go
such-
on Tinder dates I didn't want to go on, and then you started calling me while we were at the
And
karaoke
then
bar
you
a
asked
lot.
me if you could have an open relationship.
That is no.
Oh, you didn't?
You were wanting an open relationship.
No, did you ask that? Okay, maybe I will sleep with Aaron. Did we say
No,
that?
that is
Never?
not.
You
No.
never asked that?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. We're gonna
Such
lie
a
to your
weird
chat.
conversation to
We're
live stream, but then
literally
again,
not
it's
lying.
Kick though. It's Kick.
I did not.
Oh, okay.
Correct. I did not
didn't
do
drive
that.
up on you guys together. You giving him a in the parking lot
Dude,
in Chinatown.
These men can't even find that would make us money of such acts that you are claiming right now. Yet you're saying I would do it off stream for no money?
Yes.
You're
Oh my God.
And this wasn't a typical argument that lasts 5 to maybe 30 minutes. The dysfunctional couple just left the stream running for more than 20 hours, streaming insane levels of this heated argument. At one point, Nick aggressively shifted Amaranth's desk, and she actually called the cops.
That's fine.
Regardless.
I'm not okay with. I'm not unokay with being observed.
Okay, great.
I'm
20-hour
unokay with
argument
being
in
camera.
general
Leave.
is
I'm not
insane.
gonna follow you.
So you're literally just gonna be super defiant.
Talk about problems. Hey, what the is wrong with you, bro? Leave.
my
You
face.
can move. You can go away.
I wasn't in camera view. You moved the camera.
Bro, what is wrong with you? You got. Yeah.
I feel like the most the police will do is just be like, you go somewhere else, figure this out later. That's like literally all they'll do.
Yeah, we're live streaming. You just having a tantrum.
After the cops left, Nick and Caitlyn made the decision to keep the camera rolling. They argued
Okay,
about
so what's the point of
everything.
calling the cops? Oh
7
shit, I didn't
dogs,
bother.
Nick's attitude, his
Literally
infidelity.
just a waste of their time.
Smoke cigars actively. Why do you compare
Yeah,
things
but
that you
in the
can't
yard they
compare?
and then
Why are you insane?
You know, we have 7 dogs. Are you honestly
And none of them are in the house. Crazy, right?
over the outside?
Yeah, that's what dogs do. Where do you want it to go?
They have. Okay,
This
what I'm
is
saying is that we
crazy.
don't need 7 of them.
You chose to get 7.
Okay, this is just like a petty argument.
It's so weird.
Oh my god.
Things that you're doing. You hate them. You chose to do it, but you also
I
took care of
literally
them.
told you
But you hate them.
that you
but
can't
you don't like
complain
them.
about them. You agreed you wouldn't
You're
complain about
bipolar.
them if we got
I hate them.
7.
I don't
You're
like them. I
crazy.
agreed to 7.
You suggested 2.
7 dogs is kind
Amaranth
of
went as
crazy
far as to
though.
claim that Nick was after her life
7 dogs is
insurance.
kind of crazy.
Secretly dating a community member
yelling at me,
while
I guess.
blood
I don't want to deal with it. You won't leave. You won't shut up.
I'm
what
talking-
did I do? The cops won't help me. No one can help me.
Destiny little
Maybe the cops can remove
Losing
him. I
your
don't know.
voice.
$1.
You're yelling at me like you do
Stasha,
every night
Cherry,
basically nowadays.
Pixie,
Did you yell at me last night?
Baby Peach,
Yeah.
Sasha, Cherry, Melina.
Interesting. This is weird. What's up? Yeah. I mean, I don't think so. Basically, this whole thing flew off the rails when she asked me to come help her. I came to help her. She had a really bad attitude, and then somehow it ended up with her yelling at me, but it's my fault.
The stream just kept going on and on. Sometimes they'd leave the room, and other times they'd be quietly sitting in different places resting after the latest shouting match. And to add to this dystopian nightmare, they were conversing with the chat in between arguments, and chatters were sending in donations so Nick and Amaranth could hear their opinions in a text-to-speech message. After the live live stream was over, speculation arose quickly. Some believe that this dangerous relationship couldn't actually be faked. Fighting almost non-stop for an entire day isn't something anyone has ever done before for clout. On the other hand, considering her past, everything about this was extremely bizarre and at some points seemingly choreographed. Casual phone calls with the police, looking at the chat, and receiving donations while Amaranth was screaming in tears felt like an episode of Black Mirror. In the days that followed, Amaranth essentially went on a disjointed internet press tour with her husband speaking with psychologists like Dr. K about how the robbery left them with PTSD and threats from Twitch and Kick to deplatform them.
Misery, mass reporting, because a lot of times, a streamer will get in trouble if their chat isn't modded properly, so they'll try to spam a bunch of profanity in the chat. There's unhappy people live too much. Other girls don't stream as much. Eventually, I'm the only option for incel projection. Yeah.
Having an almost 24-hour fight and having the audacity to call the chat a bunch of unhappy incels seemed pretty delusional. You have to automatically assume that everything this scammer says is a lie. She makes a living off of being deceitful and dishonest. She will make up whatever story she wants to make herself look like the victim just for fun. Not only was this poorly received by pretty much everyone, but some YouTubers have come out on the offensive, hinting at the possibility that Nick and Caitlyn could have encouraged these fights for clout and views. On one occasion, XQC was invited to have dinner with Amaranth, only to be allegedly ambushed by an entire group at a nearby restaurant, and according to Felix, Nick appeared in a disguise, requesting that they start recording before getting into an all-out fight.
I swear on everything.
XQC would never lie.
Door opens, a guy rolls in a disguise, disguise.
Disguise.
And at the table, pulls up a chair, and he sits down, okay, wearing this weird hat and messenger bag, almost like a thief.
Yo, Leo, congratulations first.
I'm like, what the? I swear, chat, my blood froze. I thought I was about to get killed. Chat, because I genuinely thought it was done for. It was GG.
Fucking cat emote.
And it was just.
Man, I miss watching XCC.
It's just her husband, just showing up, and I guess he has maybe her text or her phone or her location, or whatever, and the guy just pulled up from out of nowhere. Yeah, he did talk. He said, guys, I'm not gonna dramatize the story and say something he didn't say. But I remember for a fact he said, guys, I'm recording, and then he started arguing with her, and then he started talking oh, you're just gonna leave me at home to do this and this task, and you're gonna go out to dinner or whatever, and they went after that to argue whatever, and it's why I think this is real, because they were arguing for a long time.
Felix went on to say that the fight lasted for so long that waiters began clearing tables and turning off the lights. And what he is describing is what continues to divide people on social media. Caitlyn and Nick's arguments are so long and drawn out that if it was fake, it's hard to not look at this dispute as borderline Oscar-worthy performance. Most of us can't even conceive shouting at the top of our lungs and crying for an entire day. It would be so taxing on the mind and body that the amount of money would never make it worth our time and health. And the way the couple constantly talks about money, seemingly ungrateful or upset for the millions of dollars they make per month, seems like evidence that all of this could be faked for profit. Like when Nick recently started complaining that they're making a little over $1 million a month on Kick and OF instead of their past average of $2 million a month.
The amount of money we make with both, with the exception of the last 2 months, has always been less than what OnlyFans alone used to make in 2022 and 2021. Back then, OnlyFans often hit a monthly of $2 million.
That's crazy to complain about.
Last month we did over 2. But this month and every other month under the
I don't know.
contract,
It's probably like
Kick Plus
real
Industries
and fake
gonna do
to an
about
extent.
1.2
It's
to
like probably real,
While
but
people
they're
remain
like, let's
divided on
use
whether
it
or
for
not all of this is
content.
true,
Though.
there does seem to
try to
be
make
a
more
simple
money.
way to respond to all of this. If Amaranth is creating arguments with her husband to draw attention to her brand, it doesn't matter how impressive the performance is. Making money mocking survivors of actual abuse is unforgivable and never should be tolerated. However, if she is trapped in a toxic relationship where her husband holds all the cards, pushing her further and further for money until she loses her mind, that is criminal behavior and she should seek justice. However, it seems like it could be something in the middle. Like, maybe they do have this toxic relationship, but they are both consenting to it being live